Welcome back to Cary, North Carolina. Semifinal number 1. Knotted up at 1 between Clemson and Notre Dame. Start of the second half about to kick off in just a second. Coach Chad Riley joins us now from Notre Dame. Coach, thank you. Appreciate your time. 1-1 here at the break. After 45, you guys went down. You battled back. You equalized. What's been the message to them in the locker room here to get this deadlock broken in the second half?
Yeah, I thought we started well. I really did. I think we hit the crossbar first and went up instead of down. And then I think Clemson caused us a little bit of problems with some of their, they're breaking our pressure a little too easy. So we talked about that. And then we talked about playing the game in our attacking third a little bit more. We've got to take some territory, and we've got to amp up our pressure a little bit.
Coach, you're a team that has made no secret about it. You don't need the ball all the time, but maybe chased a little bit more than you'd like in the first half. What were your thoughts on the midfield and maybe not being on it, creating the tempo that you'd like as much?
Yeah, I think they dropped like a second 6 down that we have to deal with. It was breaking our pressure, so we've talked about that. And hopefully we can do a better job with that between our strikers and our midfield.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate your time. Good luck second half.
Thank you.
All to play for in the second 45. 1-1 at the break. These two teams met back in October. 2-0 win for Notre Dame on Clemson's field. Not an easy place to win, but here in Cary, North Carolina, it is 1-1. We're waiting now. We've got a little clock issue, but we are underway. Nick Alexic blows the whistle, the center official. And here we go. Devin Kerr, Dallin Cup here, the College Cup in Cary, North Carolina, the first of 2 semifinals tonight. Georgetown, University of Washington coming up. 8:30 Eastern is scheduled, unless this goes to overtime. Hamidi Diop, the sophomore, has had a great season, second team All-ACC, but did commit the foul that led to Notre Dame's equalizer in the box. Took down Matt Rue. Jacqueline capitalized from the spot. Luis Felipe Fernandez, Salvador, number 10 in orange, got things going with an 11-minute goal. Absolute rocket off the crossbar to put the Tigers up 1-0. What things are you watching for earlier, Devin?
You heard it from Chad Riley. He admitted that they weren't on the ball enough, right? And it was because of those changes that I mentioned, whether it was Chifumba or the shape from Clemson Tigers. They did a really good job of making both the strikers come a little bit deeper, but the higher line defensively for the two midfielders. So as you drag them one direction, that opens up space in behind. So it's that 15-yard gap that was created for the Clemson Tigers. He knows that they got to get control of that. And in order to do that, you've got to get on the ball more. That's simple enough. Got to stop chasing as much, because as you chase, that's where all that space starts to open up. Clemson Tigers, I want to see them be more aggressive. As we saw them really from minute 10 and the goal to about minute 25, they were front foot, forward-thinking philosophy. We saw them back off of that as the half went on.
Isaiah Reed battling Phil Quinton. Reed so wins that battle. Maintains possession for the Tigers. Driven in, over Patty Burns' head to Malou, the senior, and Dowd stands tall.
It's smartly done from the outside back here, because as you hit this all the way to the backside, he's really only got one option off the touch. Not a bad one. Maybe cut it back across on his first one to get it on the left foot, but strong-willed on that right. Good.
Swinging ball, doesn't beat the first defender. Sheila lays it off to Felipe in space. Swinging ball, doesn't beat the first defender. Sensio lays it off to Felipe in space.
Pools combined. Claudio Reyna. She got 3 in each of his 3 seasons with the Cavaliers. Bruce Arena, those great teams. He was the reason when I was very young that I wanted to be a Cavalier. That changed.
Okay. Cuts back on it. Oh, good fancy footwork, but then turns it over almost. He maintains possession. Now, we mentioned Claudio in his prowess, but Gio's mom was a heck of a player, too. She's got a number of stars as well. So that is a footballing family. Diop drives it out wide to Malou. Great crowd on hand here today for the first time. It's filled in beautifully. And they're treated to a good. It's been an entertaining game so far. I'm sure the second match between Georgetown and Washington will be more of the same. Diop drives it out to Sensio. Pass picked off and then put off and not touch.
He's probably the only defender on the back line for Clemson Tigers we really haven't spoken about. And that's a good thing. You never hear his name because he's so even-keeled, right? Just kind of motors along, does his thing. With Justin Malou attacking so much on the right side, you see a lot of movement by the 2 center backs. George Marks gets involved as well, but Asensio just kind of ever steady on the left-hand flank. Every now and then, you'll see him poke his head out and get involved in the attack. Otherwise, just kind of stays home, make sure they have that proper balance back there.
Coach Mike Leon referred to him as Steady Eddie. He's now played. This is his 81st match in a Tigers uniform. He was all-ACC freshman team, second team in the sophomore year, and I think a lot of people forget about him. Last year he was outstanding. This year he was very good as well, but did not make all-league honors, and I think that's a bit of a question mark. But nonetheless, Charlie Sensio's had a great career at the Atlanta United Academy. Let's see what goes down. And something to note, too, is Jack Lynn remains on the bench. 11 White in the game still. Daniel Russo and Matt Rue are leading the line. Matt Lynn, the first-team All-League player. The line up for 27 to see if he enters the match. Again, if you're just tuning into college soccer, in the second half, you can sub in and out throughout the game. The first half, you can go out, you cannot re-enter. In the second half, if you exit the match, you can re-enter. So you'll definitely see some players coming in and out. If they step off the pitch, their day is not done. And there's the aforementioned Lynn. 31 goals is the goal scorer today from the penalty spot. Back-to-back years, first team All-ACC. I thought it was funny because on their jersey, they have the 2013 title. So on their gear, they have their 1 star right there. And I asked him, what would it mean to put the 2nd star on there? The reason he wants to put the 2nd star is because when he walks around campus, and soccer culture is still growing in America, people don't understand why they have a star above the ND logo. So he has to explain every time the 2013 team won a championship. So why he wants a star is he wants every generation forward to have to explain the 2021 team won a national title.
He's tied to referencing the boys earlier in the decade.
Yeah.
Or last decade,
He wants all his shine, and henceforth he wants his shine.
That's got to be one of the better answers we've ever heard for that, right?
It was great. I was like, whoa, that's interesting. Loved it. Notre Dame lining up a long throw, even from back here. You see Quentin, 6'5" center back, number 2, just the left part of your screen. Getting forward, trying to target him. He flicks it on, but no danger. Turned out to be a beautiful night here, too. Mid-50s, outstanding weather. I mean, last year it was quite chilly in the mid-30s. I know you from Florida were struggling. The year before that, though, it was played in a monsoon, the semifinals. So we are fortunate.
There's a chance we weren't even going to get those games in. Remember, 30, 45 minutes to kick. Everybody down on the field. Squeegee going, decided what the course of action was going to be going forward.
He tried to get going forward, but Quentin took him down.
It's okay. Yep. Now you can understand why maybe that That limp hurts a little bit more than what you saw on the initial view. Contact, what we call there.
The junior from Rockville, South Carolina, Isaiah Reed, still limping around, tied for team lead in goals, 7. He's in the box, as are Oscar Ogden and Justin Blue. Almost crept over the head of Jacobello, and Reed was actually there. Oh, nice lead by Felipe. Sila. Sila trying to battle 1v2 and loses that battle. Russo tracked down and run out, played out by Quinn Mcneil nicely.
Great defensive work by Jacobello. Read the scouting report on Sila, push him to his left foot. Always tries to pull it back, the midfielder to that right peg. It's so dangerous. Every single time he gets on the ball, you expect him to do something brilliant because that's what he brings to the field. Mike Nguyen regularly putting a lot of onus on the creative abilities of the youngster in the midfield.
21 in orange coming into your picture. Sophomore from Senegal. All ACC freshman team last year, second team all conference this year. One of 3 Senegalese starters along with Hamid Diop and Justin Malou. All from Montverde Academy, which is a definition of a pipeline. From Montverde, it produces a lot of players from all over the globe coming right here to Clemson, given the ties between Mike Noonan and the head coach there as this ball has been thrown in long at him. Diop gets up and gets his end first. Sila wins it. Maybe a transition opportunity. Andy under some pressure, and Johnson commits the foul.
What I loved about all that was his comments, not about the playmaking ability. It wasn't about what the guys are like in training and the work that they put in. He looked point blank at me and said, my favorite thing, Devin, 95% of these guys coming through the program, I'd be happy to let any one of them date either one of my daughters. But that gives you an idea. You know, he talks about the personnel that they bring in. There's 7 out of 10 attributes that have to check the box. And he kind of walked us through some of them, and it's, what's your job? I play soccer. He's like, no, you don't. You do, but you got to do something else. Yeah. And you're going to do it here if you want to come here. Yeah. Tell me something that you've done for someone else outside of your own life that didn't involve any actions whatsoever. They couldn't name it. Push him off the list. Wasn't interested in that at all.
Yeah. He said, I don't care how talented you are. You have to meet our criteria. If you don't, we'll find other guys that will, and we'll be made. Maybe not be as talented. They may be better players and better fits for our program. For Johnson, channel. Tosses it over to Eastmeyer. Martin just kind of threw it out. Russo, no call. Shea draws the foul. There's foul on Shea, excuse me.
I'm with Chad right on this one. That was unfortunate. That was great pressure by Notre Dame. And he talked about the presence of the Tigers in the midfield and how they needed to try to eliminate that a bit more so that his guys could get on the ball. That was a real good look of where they almost were able to do it. Push them into the corner. Guys are out of the way. Good opportunity to counterattack. Ref just got in the way of it.
Next match coming up, the 2 and 3 matchup. Washington taking on Georgetown. Kind enough to join us now is Brian Weiss, the coach of the 3-seeded Georgetown Hoyas, the winners of the 2019 College Cup. Coach, 8:30 game, a little later, kickoff. Take us, what are the emotions? What's the vibe of your squad like on the precipice of another College Cup game?
We're excited. I mean, we just pulled into the stadium. It's a beautiful night. The field looks like it's in great shape. It's a totally full house. So, yeah, this is what they play all year for. We're pretty fired up.
Coach, what was the communication like today? Did you text Jamie your lineup and tell him exactly what was coming?
No, we've stayed far away from each other. Our hotels are actually almost sharing the same parking lot, but I think he was pulling our fire alarm and we were doing the same. But other than that, we haven't talked.
These two have a long history we'll get into. I know, Coach, you played for Bobby Clark, Jamie's father, and you guys coached together and known each other for a long time. We'll get into that later. But in terms of the game itself, why should folks stick around? What do you think we're going to see here when your two teams do battle here shortly?
I think you're going to see two attacking soccer teams going after each other. I think you're going to see goals. As much as I don't want to concede any, it's going to be hard to keep Washington off the score sheet. And it should just be a fun night for soccer. I think it's going to be two of the better soccer teams in the country, hopefully playing well and giving us a show.
Coach, we appreciate your time. We hope the same thing, and good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
Ryan Weiss, head coach of Georgetown. Jamie Clark, the head coach of Washington. Coming up next here on ESPNU. And these two teams actually met in 2019 quarterfinals, and there were double digits between both teams of guys on the field in that game. Georgetown thought it was funny. We asked him about it. Georgetown thought, it doesn't really matter. Very different from the team that lost, because Georgetown went on to win the College Cup here in this building in 2019. A lot of those guys, 6 of those guys were on that roster. But Washington players, they definitely remember that game and are looking to rectify that tonight.
It's funny how that works out, right?
It's really strange.
You're on the winning side, it doesn't mean anything. Great are all these managers, by the way. And they're such good people.
It's been a great group. How about Brian Weiss real quick? He played at Dartmouth, as I mentioned, under Bobby Clark. Was a 3-time All-Ivy League player. Mechanical engineer. Then goes to Stanford as an assistant under Bobby Clark. Gets his master's in, yes, mechanical engineering. I can't even spell that. Nevertheless, graduate with grad school degrees, and he's coaching soccer. And he's an amazing soccer coach and built a program from nothing to being a national power now. Brennan.
You mentioned the math was removed from your contract.
I can't add. Jamie Clark is great. His dad, Bobby Clark, is an absolute legend. Played in Aberdeen for maybe the greatest coach ever, Sir Alex Ferguson, for years. And had a great career there as a player, then comes over to the States. Great career coaching here. Coached Notre Dame to their 2013 national championship. Coach Chad Riley, who is now coaching his alma mater. So Bobby Clark's handprints are all over this College Cup.
Right when you feel like Notre Dame was starting to get back into it and create that presence, at least in terms of pressure, Clemson changes again. Quinn Mcneil, Alvaro Gomez side by side, and who steps in front of them? We've seen a bunch of different players come in through it. They really boxed the midfield off, though. And so once again, Ethan O'Brien, Reese Mayer trying to find a way to get on the ball more.
You see Reese Mayer down right now. Holding his stomach. And he's asking, you see him making the VAR, the review sign, which has now become global, to make a square with your fingers. And just for, there is no technical VAR in college soccer. 3 things you can review is if the ball goes across the goal line, if there's a mistaken identity, or for disciplinary reasons. So technically, Nikola Alexic can look at it, and there is the motion, and he's going to take a look and see if there was anything nefarious that sent Meyer to the ground. Take a look and check what we got here.
Oh my!
Uh-oh.
That's a no-no spot.
When you see him swing like that, what's your gut reaction?
That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing whatsoever. The question is the way that the referee has let the game go, how much are you willing to step in here? Because he's let these guys play. And if you're going to do it, usually they remain, or you at least like them to remain consistent. But that's a very aggressive movement with the elbow coming back across. I've seen people thrown out for less than that.
And that was Luis Felipe Fernandez Salvador, the goal scorer in this game, the senior from Ecuador, who makes big plays, that is being reviewed right now. And here again, you can look at whether the ball actually crossed the goal line, a goal was scored, to identify players for disciplinary matters, what we're doing right now, and if there's any mistaken identity. You take another look. We're in a semifinal. It's a 1-1 game. It could hinge on this decision. Is it proper to give a red here, or would you rather see it give a yellow? Oh, here we go. There's your answer. He said nothing. Okay. I'm out here doling out cards. We're doling out nothing.
It's interesting that they don't even blow a foul on it, right? I mean, you're going to the sideline here. You can see the arm away from the body. He 100% swings back. The only thing that you could say in terms of the subjective view is that maybe he doesn't connect. To me, that looks like there was definite contact, but it's a drop ball and they're on their way.
I will say this. I'm happy it's still 11-11. I wouldn't want to see it go down.
You don't want to see a game change like that.
But I would assume that would at least be a yellow. There's got to be maybe some discipline for that action, but that's not where we're at.
Any sort of foul.
Yeah.
Just put the ball back into play and let's get on with our business.
Notre Dame's got a number of subs lining up, two critical ones being Jack Lynn and Muhammad Omar. Two seniors have been through the battles to get back in the mix, but Matt Rue runs this one down first. Rue looking for Jacobello to arrive. He's there. There are numbers in the box. Low ball played in. Asensio chips it out. Brian's touch lets him down. Quinton's able to recover. Center back forward. And for Patty Burns, sophomore from Northern Ireland, play the ball, looking back post. Shea arrives. He just popped around, and then Malou will get rid of it. So it goes out to touch and he sub. Just to revisit how impactful Bobby Clark is again. Outstanding player in his own right, playing in Aberdeen for years. Comes over to the States to coach. Dartmouth for years. That's where he coached Brian Weiss. Then he goes to Notre Dame. Wins a national championship there. He coached Chad Riley at Notre Dame. Brian Weiss was part of that staff. He's also part of the staff at Stanford. Jamie Clark is the coach at UW. He coached with Brian Weiss as well. They all know each other quite well. They found text change, particularly during COVID. They were talking a lot, getting on Zooms, talking soccer. Long throw in here. We did ask how much of you guys talked. Well, they saw each other yesterday, but I don't think, they weren't exchanging 11s and going through a lot of things. But it's definitely an interesting story to see how involved Bobby is in terms of his fingerprints on everything.
The glue that held it all together in Dartmouth, right? Yeah. It's interesting. That's not a knock on Dartmouth. It's just when you think men's college soccer, look at your UVAs, right? Your UNCs, your Dukes, your Clemsons, historically. Yeah. Dartmouth usually isn't in that conversation, and yet that program and the tree, the reach that it's given college soccer, great.
And they all play very different styles, but the values they have as educators and the things they instill in their players, that all comes from Bobby Clark. Felipe to play it in, second corner of the game for Clemson. I'll swing, look to the back post. Johnson is there. Dinks it back up in the air. Felipe nods it down. And Dowler playing. Great soccer coming your way tonight, but of course more coming your way tomorrow. The 26th MLS Cup played 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. And you can check that on ESPN and the ESPN app. The Portland Timbers will face New York City FC at Providence Park, which will be rocking, no doubt. The Timbers looking for their 3rd cup in 7 years. NYCFC looking for their first ever as they get themselves to the cup for the first time. And speaking of that, their senior team's doing great, but look at the youth team. And these guys, you're going to see a number of these guys in Georgetown tonight, Polvara, and Sands. But look at all this talent, and this is only some of the roster that was part of that NYCFC team that won back-to-back Development Academy national champions.
That's the scariest thing is there was actually 13 different players, and the worst that any of them were Division I college athletes. Come on, it's Boston College and UVA and North Carolina. There's the Blue Bloods that we were talking about, right? But think about the 2 different paths that the brothers have taken. Will Sands, absolutely, in the next game that we're going to see. And all the talent around them as well. You got a guy who kind of gets plucked early, 17 years old, homegrown deal for NYCFC, now national team player. And another one who goes to college. I did like the comment from Brian Weiss. He said all he knows is national championships. Won back-to-back national championships to finish off his academy career. Wins it his freshman year, Elite 8 last year, and now another opportunity to add a star to his own personal collection.
It's pretty crazy. Obviously, Gio Reyna, part of that group too. One of the most talented players in the U.S. national team pool, getting himself back to full health, playing at Borussia Dortmund. As we already just showed you, his father, Claudio, in the stands here, the scouting director, or the technical director sporting director, at Austin FC. Opportunity for Diop to whip this into his left foot. Less weight, more reps. That wasn't unframed, but we did have some scoring in the first half. It was a really eventful first half, up and down, and Luis Felipe Fernandez, Salvador, Felipe put him up 1-0, the Tigers, and then back came Jack Lynn off the penalty spot in the 21st minute. That's where we find ourselves at 1-1, 24 minutes to play. Devin Kerr, Dallin Cuff here with you in Cary, North Carolina. The College Cup, the first of two semifinals tonight. Georgetown, Washington to come. Devin's got some equipment issues. His shoes are off. I don't know what's happening over here, but there's a game in front of us.
His shoes falling off. The pets' heads are falling off.
Chipped in, almost an opportunity. Marks comes off the line. So tell me there's a chance.
I got to change my studs from this field.
The field is in great condition. We were walking on it earlier. An opportunity. Falling. Jack Lynn tries to slide it through. Uh-oh, bad turnover. Lynn might get a shot off. He does! Just wide! That's not the guy you want to see to have the ball at his feet on a turnover. He almost capitalized.
Watch this quick little turn. This is the kiss of death on the outside of the post. At least it looked it. Vision. Bottom corner. Little luck here for George Marks, who was beaten. And how good is he on the stop of a dime? One touch goes to work. Almost touched this thing home.
Number of subs coming in the game. His first foray into the action. Brandon Parrish, the sophomore, 20 in orange, was just on the ball. Twice the Gatorade Player of the Year in Tennessee. Played to the feet of Russo. Back to McCartney. To Lynn. Diop. That's a challenge. Gets rid of it. And Mohamed Say plays it out wide. He came back in the game for Isaiah Reed moments ago. Parrish looking to flip it into Say. Does not connect. This has been very different, Devin. What have you seen here so far?
They're afraid to make mistakes. The guys are nervous about what could or could not be in front of them. And that intensity, really the opening 25 minutes of the first half, to be fair to both squads, it's not as present here. And guys are a little bit more tentative. The long balls coming through. If you notice some of the rotation, just keep your eye on it for both teams. Outside of the chance that we just saw for Jack Lynn, they're one-offs. And it's the ball down in and then everybody's chasing. There's no real fluid build compared to what we saw, especially for the Tigers, as much as they were on the ball in the first half with 62-38 in terms of possession. It's almost with a hope and a prayer. Maybe they'll run onto it, and would say defensively, they're not willing to take as much chances either. Malou hasn't come as much. Same thing coming off the back line. Notre Dame just kind of staying at home because guys are worried. The next one be a mistake. Could cost them.
That's going to cost him too. Muhammad Omar was tangled up with Mo Say, and Omar, the senior, down in pain. Born in Toronto, came to Notre Dame from Berkshire, Massachusetts. Prep school there. Talking to Nikola Alexic about what had happened. There's no foul call in the play. Ethan O'Brien is working the fourth official too, Daniel Radford. You don't see that every day. At least in college soccer. In Europe, I feel like anybody can just give anything they want to the fourth, and it doesn't matter. You give whatever you want to the fourth, and they just take it. There's UW, the number 2 overall seed out of the Pac-12, watching from the tunnel. Sarah gets set to take on Georgetown here. When this one concludes, it'll be 30 minutes after. We're not sure if it'll be 8:30 as scheduled. There may be some overtime. Unless Luz Monsila can change that. Out to Parrish. Loops it in. Says there. Oh, save for down. And a quick transition opportunity maybe for the Fighting Irish as they get going the other way. Russo's got Lynn in the box. Oh, Russo. Does he get in line? Is there a foul? No. Waved off. Let's take a look at that save. First and foremost, the first chance.
even though he does everything right on this ball to the back post, he's almost surprised that it falls to him because of the defender right in front of him. With that big frame, he doesn't get enough momentum on it to really go after Brian Dow. Then how about on the other side? There's a little bit of contact, but that's not enough for me. Off the back shoulder, it's making friends.
First save for either team was made by Dowd right there. And Clemson makes a sub 2. Elton Chifomba back in the match. The ball's coming toward him right now. He comes in for Alvaro Gomez. Chifomba, freshman. Gomez, junior from Spain. Gomez has scored some big goals. He had their game-winning goal against Kentucky in the third round of this tournament. Keep them moving on. And fourth, Sela there. Gets it to the feet of Say, but he can't control it. Clemson got to this point by beating Oregon State in Corvallis. That turnover. Callum Johnson pokes it for the arms of Dowd. Dowd upset with his back line, and rightfully so. And Georgetown on the opposite side of the field, watching from their tunnel. I'm not going to lie. I used to hate that, playing in tournaments where you're the next game playing. You're ready to get going, but you can't get a normal warm-up in. You don't know if they're going to go to overtime. It's tough. Russo, Meggs, Agra, no call. Would look like a takedown. Oh,
that good tackle.
Heavy.
It's human nature to be interested, right? Especially when you don't know when your warm-up's coming your way.
That's what I'm saying. It's a very different experience for the second team in the tournament. They can warm up on the extra fields here at Wake Med Soccer Park behind us if they so choose, and maybe they will do that. Matt Rue checks in the match for Daniel Russo. And Usman Sela comes out for Pipe. Harris tried to play it between the legs. Omar doesn't come off. Rue now finds Lynn. Back to Omar. Ethan O'Brien working through the midfield. Hello, Brian. And you heard Brian Weiss say earlier, full house. He ain't lying. We are at capacity, 10,132 here at Salem Stadium. Came out to see two great games. We've had a good one so far. Another one coming up with Georgetown and Washington. Kerry has been the host of this event the last few years, and they've done a great job in hosting it. Long throw here, looking for Quentin as always. They double up on him. Can't get to his head. Balls to the feet of Lynn, flags down. And working on Chifomba. Oh. Still Lynn tries to drive it in, deflected by Ogren, falls to Patty Burns. He strikes it, deflects, and Mark's able to keep it out, but it's still loose. It's still down. Lynn's on it. Lynn goes down. They wave off the penalty, and Ogren just gets rid of it. But only to Jacobello. He keeps it in. Gettenbacher. No call. He's got men in the middle. Falls to McCartney. Brandon Paris tries to get it out. He can't. This is like a power play in hockey right now. Jacobello lines it up. And he overhits it.
George Marks is furious with the referee here. He feel like he had his hands on the ball. I actually don't agree with the goalkeeper. He never fully had possession as this comes back through. Good recovery right there. See, his defender gets in the way, spills out in front of him. Jack Lane, not going to happen. That's his own momentum coming out in front of him. There's contact between everybody, but it is not a penalty. What a recovery by George Marks in the initial save.
Second team all-league keeper makes the play. Jack Lynn, the first team all-league attacker, he's hyped. Oh, now they're going to the Nikola Alexic's going to the talking to the fourth official, Daniel Radford.
They've got to be looking at the contact,
Well,
but you can't.
Again, let's take a look.
On the back side of it, that's the biggest thing here. Watch the recovery when he comes through. Nothing there, right there. There's not enough contact at all. And they can't review that anyway.
Exactly. That's the only things you can review in video in college soccer is if the ball technically crosses the goal line, if there's a mistaken identity for a disciplinary matter, or for a disciplinary matter to look and adjudicate something that happened on the field. This isn't even close to the line. Maybe from Alexic's point of view, he couldn't see it from where he was as the referee, but he's halted the game to go take a look. I mean, that is quite a ways off.
Better safe than sorry, maybe.
I guess.
But a couple years ago, we're going, why don't you go look at that, right? I mean, everybody in the stadium could see it didn't cross the line. But well done by the refereeing crew to stay on top of it, and as we know, no goal.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Jack Lynn was hyped that they got to look at it. Maybe he must have lobbied for it, but, I mean, it wasn't close. But that was the best attacking effort we'd seen really in the second half. And that was sustained pressure of a number of attempts that Clemson survived.
Notice from Notre Dame as well, they're more clear-cut in their decision-making. One of the things that has really plagued them throughout this game is even when there's an opportunity there, they're not as quick to react on it. So their higher line defensively is good. Second balls are falling their way, but they're reacting to it. That's the biggest thing that's falling for them right now. It's not taking your time. They're not clouding their decision-making. Mo Omar's back on. You've got the speed up top, but right away, ball on the deck, play it, and move.
Nice step by Ogren. Another deflection. It might fall to Lynn. It does, but Salvador Gomez scoops it up. Say trying to battle with Josh Ramsey. Doesn't win that, but Ramsey sends it into the stratosphere. Quinton heads it out. And down goes Say. Him and Ramsey have been battling quite a bit. It's the 17th foul of the match for Notre Dame. They are a physical team. Not afraid to get stuck in. Felipe wanted to play it quick. The referee will bring it back. Out to Sensio. Cuts inside on his weaker right foot and plays it right to the feet of Muhammad Omar. Yeah, tries to switch it to Malou. Malou wins the header. Brought down by Parrish. Ceylon Gomez back in the midfield. Ceylon loves to turn around defenders, loses the ball though. Back in, tracking back.
Look how deep the two strikers are as well, helping out defensively, where even if Omar can't win this first tackle, he's got Jack Lynn, Matt Ruse in there to help out as well. That wasn't what was going on in the first half. There was a clear-cut space, about 10, 15 yards in between the midfield unit and the two strikers. Not the case here in the second half.
Oh, right there by Jacobello. We saw that all the way. Nice touch by Gedenbach. Oh, a couple of them. Gets to the feet of Lynn. Pops it back out. Who's going to win this race? Diop or Gedenbacher? Diop does. There's still contact. He gets up and maintains possession. Gedenbacher goes right through him, and he's upset. He had to see a card, and Gedenbacher's working for his card right now if he's going to get one. It's quite a bit of dissent. Said all game, referee Nikola Alexic has let them play. It seems like he will let them even show a little dissent, and no cards here.
It's Mo Omar playing Switzerland for his youngster on the outside. Good little flick, and again, they just go to work. There's more direction here in the second half. They don't have a lot of chances from it. That's the only concern you're going to have if you're Chad Riley. Again, they've chased a lot in the first. They've done it here in the second, but they have defensively cut off a lot of those passes that caused them the concern in the first half. He talked about the 2 6s. That's the strikers getting in the way, not allowing them to play through. Good look at it. Gomez slides over. There's no outlet pass. And if it does get out, they're pushing them to the exterior in one-on-one situations. For the most part, it's going to be much happier defensively here in the second half.
Denenbacher's now going to make way for Tyler Shea. Come back in the match. Shea, the junior, replacing Denenbacher, the freshman. More great soccer coming your way this weekend. Sunday, the Madrid derby. Real Madrid taking on Atleti. Real Madrid atop the table. Atleti chasing on their heels. 2:50 Eastern on ESPN Plus. Another great game across the ESPN platforms coming up on Sunday. I'm sure Real Madrid fans enjoyed Barcelona crapping out of the Champions League and heading to the Europa League after their 3-0 fall to Bayern Munich on the road in Bavaria in another empty stadium, unfortunately. Landon Ogren in a bit of a foot race. Marks off his line, gets rid of it. All played by Sensu. He took out Shea, but he played the ball, and there's no call. Shea is still down. Tigers will play on. Shea does get up now. Jogs back into position.
There's a ton of room here on this. Right in front of us, Justin Malou cheating really high. There he goes. Give it to him.
Gomez does not. Plays it to the feet of Ogren. Now it'll get out to Malou. Columbus Crew draft pick. Last MLS draft, 27th overall. Still flying it straight, though, here in college. Over to Quinn Mcneil. Felipe, the goal scorer, spins into trouble.
You want to be successful in those situations, you got to cut out the middleman. Because Dawson McCartney had already started to drift over. You get in behind him, then you get the one-on-one situation you want. Otherwise, you're on the backside of it where you've got to beat Burns and McCartney. That usually doesn't end well.
You see Mohamed Say, number 9 in orange, who is the traditional number 9 that they've not been able to play with. He's got a big brace on his knee. He's not 100%, but they played a lot of the second half with him. Has it been better than the first half? It doesn't seem that way.
No, not at all. They're searching right now for their shape. The double pivot on the inside is still there with McNeil and Alvaro Gomez. The problem is right there. When Sila comes over, he's actually been very active and on the ball a lot. But when he collects, one, more Notre Dame players around him. Number 2, the options are being shut down much quicker in the second half by Notre Dame. So those little spins that he was getting away with the first and that space was there are no longer options for him. I'm actually a little surprised, given the way that the second half of the season is gone, without the 2 number 9s for Clemson, that Mike Newton hasn't changed again, that he hasn't gone to a single on the inside, maybe 3 in front, almost like an extended triangle, because that causes an issue for the boys in the middle for Notre Dame. More importantly, it actually frees up more space for the 2 strikers above them. So it's about levels, and if you can play through it, for the most part, it's all been on the outside, if you notice.
And we talk about save, but without James Brighton, it happened since the 3rd game of the season. Brighton is all-league level player, was an all-tournament team, member of the 20 squad that won the ACC championship, ACC tournament. He scored a goal in that final against Pitt. He scored a goal in the final of the 2019 ACC tournament, which they lost to Virginia in heartbreaking fashion. There's Brighton. He's been basically a season-ending injury, but he comes to every training sessions with every lift. Coach tells us he has been an emotional leader. He's one of their captains, and he's delivered for them when he can't play, but he's still there trying to help them out. He's been there every step of the way as this team has got back to the College Cup. I'm sure he's just killing him not to be on the pitch with him.
I would not want to be the first defender matched up with him, by the way, because he's put on some serious muscle coming back in his rehab work. I mean, look at him.
He's working the sledgehammer. Again, that is a little bit of a good luck charm. They take it everywhere. It's part of their strength and conditioning, not regimen, but it's a little memento they always have in the strength and conditioning room. They take it with them in all the games. He was wielding it around like Paul Bunyan before the game. Sure, just dying to get back out there. Clemson set to make another sub. Here comes Brandon Parrish back down to the match. In the match with Quinn Mcneil. Again, if you're new to college soccer, you can make one exit in the second half and re-enter the match. That's why we saw Parrish step out, but now he's back in a few minutes later. And McNeil, I'm sure, will still be able to. He will be able to re-enter the match. I'm sure he will as one of the starters. It's had game-winning goals like that North Carolina game back in October, and he's had some big plays throughout this campaign. McNeil has. He drew the PK actually in the game they played against Denver, double overtime game. He drew PK in the 108th minute, which Oscar Ogren stepped up and knocked in. Have them advance to play Kentucky in the next round. Notre Dame's past been unique too. I mean, they won their first game against Villanova. Then they played Wake Forest, ACC team. They played Pitt, beat them for the third time this year, ACC team. And here we are again, play another ACC opponent in Clemson. Josh Ramsey just has it right in the drag Parks hands. Coverage of the NCAA championships continues with the Men's College Cup final Sunday, December 12th, 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Men's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Devin and I will be pleasure to be back on the call with our entire crew Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. The winner of this game will play the winner of Georgetown, Washington, which comes up teammates. Well run by Parrish. Sencio brings it down. Finds the feet of Fernandez. Good first touch. Out to Sela. 1v1 with Quinton. Cuts back in. And she's sent back out. Clemson's had late drama throughout this tournament. As we mentioned, they had the 108th minute penalty, 89th minute winner against Kentucky, courtesy of Alvaro Gomez, getting an 88th minute penalty in the game against Oregon State to get themselves to this point. 85th minute penalty, excuse me. There's always been drama throughout this tournament for them. Maybe more coming. Johnson. Good ball played in. Nobody there, though. Drops touch a little off.
Got a lot more speed on the field right now. Clemson does. Now Johnson back in. Brandon Parrish on the inside. He's an interesting one because they usually, at least the tendency earlier this year, was to deploy him in a much more advanced role. He's paired up as really an 8-type spot for the Tigers. And Bill, got to be real careful with your decision making. He's been a bit shaky since coming on.
Had it roll across his body and almost picked up there by Johnson McCartney in a dangerous spot.
He's looking around a lot too, and not in a good way. He's not checking for runners. He's trying to figure out, okay, where exactly am I supposed to be within our movements coming forward right now? To be fair to him, Alvaro Gomez very active. He's trying to get on the ball as much as possible. 18 in orange and be the distributor.
Diop looking at, he may switch it to Malou, chooses not to. Pass over hit, going to force Ogden to chase it down. He's going to get there. Under 4 minutes. And Notre Dame's gone to 2 penalty shootouts. I know there's potentially 2 overtimes, but the last 2 times they've gone to OT, they've gone all the distance, and they've been great in those shootouts. But if there is no goal here, we'll go to a sudden victory situation, 10-minute overtime. Nothing there, you will go to the second half. Another 10-minute overtime. Nothing there, we will go to penalties. Malou shows too much of the ball, McCartney, and fouled him. Eddie Burns to take the free kick. Sophomore from Northern Ireland. Played on their youth teams beat Germany in the European competition. Brother actually plays for Hearts. He's in third right now in the Scottish Premier League. And per normal, Notre Dame's bringing the big boys forward for the long throw. Under 2:30. Out of contact. No call there. Laid back to Meyer. Carney puts in a ball. Omar arriving! Couldn't put it on frame.
Similar to the same on the other end of the start of this first half. Just doesn't know if it's actually going to get to him. What a ball in by Dawson McCartney. I mean, he hits this thing with some sort of vengeance. And look at Mo Omar. To be fair, the quick little release on the backside by Diop gets just in front of him to clog the vision. Omar can't drive through the ball, just has to sort of hope to redirect off of it. And as tall as he is, he catches it early, comes back down, easily up over the bar.
6'3" frame for Omar, flying to the air again there, winning that header. Shea is on it. He's got Jacobello, plays him. Driving to the box. Played in. We're going to have a corner where Notre Dame is always dangerous. Crowd here, all 10,000 starting to rise to their feet as they sense it could be different. 35 seconds. Could this be a moment? Could Notre Dame get back to